Well, our next guest brought the house down at the Fargo Air Museum on Saturday and talked a lot about some very important races in North Dakota for governor, and Jack Dalrymple against Ryan Taylor. For Senate, Rick Berg against Heidi Heitkamp. The House race, Kevin Kramer against Pam Gullison. But I think more than anything, just really kind of talk turkey, talked some straight talk with folks about how important these races are and what you can do to really work hard the next 28 days. So it's a great pleasure to catch up with him on the air after his visit to North Dakota, firing up the Republican faithful. Governor Chris Christie in New Jersey back with us on the Common Sense Club and the Scott Hennon Show. Governor, how are you? Governor, can you hear me?
Hello, you there?
All right. I am now. How are you, Governor?
Good. How are you?
Fantastic. I can hear you well. It was quite a Saturday morning, and in North Dakota. By the way, your predictions have turned out pretty good. We're going to talk about the debate one in a moment, but the NDSU versus Youngstown prediction worked out pretty good, too. So you're on a roll.
Yeah, we're a bit of a roll. Yeah, I saw that. Saw a great win by NDSU, and what a great rally. I mean, they had over 600 people there at 8:30 in the morning. A lot of really enthusiastic voters who, are really excited about Jack Dalrymple and Rick Berg and the rest of the folks on the ballot there in North Dakota.
Absolutely. And, you gave us some great advice. We actually played your comments yesterday on the program for folks that were not able to be there, but I really thought the suggestions you had about just talking to neighbors, talking to coworkers, talking to friends and family, and your advice of a couple hours a week between now and Election Day will make Election Day a lot more fun. Are you finding folks heeding that call across the country when you put out that challenge?
They really are. They're incredibly receptive because, what folks are really concerned about now, who are dedicated enough to come to a rally and hear a speech, is, what more can I do? These are not wealthy people. They're not going to be writing huge checks for the most part, but they want to help because they know how important the stakes are in this election. And so I try to give voice to that and let people know you can make a difference by opening up your own personal phone book and calling everybody in there and telling them why you're with Mitt Romney and why you support him. And, by talking to people at the football games on Friday night, the soccer games on Saturday afternoon, the church parking lot on Sunday. Those are really important times where people who might be not as into politics or busier, but some folks might be, don't have the time to examine themselves. You hear from a trusted friend why they're for a certain politician. That's a very powerful thing in American politics.
You were on Meet the Press the Sunday before the first debate of the presidential cycle, and you made a prediction that was very much at odds with sort of the campaigning 101 when you try to lower expectations for the candidate you're in favor of. And in your case, you went out there and just said, hey, Mitt Romney's going to do a great job. It'll be a contrast, great time for the American people, and I predict it will turn this race upside down. I'm looking at a Pew poll that suggests maybe for the first time in history this late in a campaign, the race has swung 12 points in Mitt Romney's favor. So congrats on your prediction, and what do you make of this change? Did you think it'd be this big?
I didn't think it would be that big, but I did think it would be absolutely changing the dynamic of the race. And because here's why. I don't think much matters in a race like this one that's as close as this one's been until the two people get on the stage together and 50 to 60 million Americans get to eyeball them and compare them side by side. You made that side-by-side comparison last Wednesday night. There was no doubt in almost anybody but the most harsh Democratic partisan's mind that Mitt Romney absolutely won that debate and gave people confidence as the challenger that he, in fact, could be an effective president of the United States.
The hand-wringing was pretty loud and significant about, sort of the woulda, shoulda, couldas of the Romney campaign to that point. Do you think that was part of the reason that he, the pressure was on and he just had to perform, or is this the Mitt Romney that's been there all along that just hasn't gotten through the media filter? Why was Mitt Romney so different Wednesday night?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both, Scott. I think first there is some media filtering going on that you're well aware of, and it doesn't let all of what Mitt Romney says go through. But I think the other thing is, let's face it, this is a guy who every moment in this campaign, when he's had his back to the wall, has responded. When Newt Gingrich was speaking in South Carolina, he responded. And he did that debate in Florida where he just wiped the floor with Gingrich. When Perry entered the race late this summer and threatened to be the front runner in the race and displace Mitt Romney went to a debate in New Hampshire and cleaned the floor with Rick Perry. I mean, when this guy's got his back to the wall and has a debate coming up, he has great performance within him. So now the challenge has got to be, all right, you've won that one. where this thing could turn right back around the other way with an unsuccessful performance on the 16th of October. So we need Governor Romney to continue to be himself, continue to feel that sense of energy and focus. And if he does, I think he's going to be the next president.
What's the prediction on Thursday night in the vice presidential debate, Paul Ryan and say it ain't so Joe Biden?
Listen, I'm 2-0, Scott, so I don't think I'm going to make any more predictions. I'm going to sit here at 1,000% and do pretty well. What I can tell you, though, for sure is this. That Paul Ryan is, as you know, incredibly bright, very articulate, very talented public servant. So I'm sure he'll do just fine, on Thursday night. Fact, though, is that he's debating a guy who's been debating on the floor of the Senate for the better part of 40 years. And, God love him, Joe Biden. He could make a mistake. He's been known to do that before. But I think as Republicans, we can't count on that. And then we've got to be ready to take him on head on. He's got a lot of work to clean up that the president created for him last Wednesday night.
Clearly, there has to be nothing short of panic in Chicago, given how this race has changed from every account. Rasmussen, 11-state swing state poll is gone Romney's way now. You got a 12-point swing in the Pew poll, and clearly the debate has changed the race. There's just no other way to say that. And even almost unanimous agreement on the Democratic side of how bad the president was. Now, a lot of are expecting something in the way of a flat out attack or negative, or I don't know how they could go more negative. But do you expect do you expect Chicago dirty politics to be unleashed here on Team Romney as a result of this sea change in the polls?
Well, listen, I think the Romney team has to be ready for anything now. They're obviously now a very legitimate threat against the president and his team keeping power in Washington, D.C. And I think this campaign will respond, meaning the Obama campaign, will respond in a very serious and very aggressive way. What they'll do, obviously, I have no idea, but I think you can assume that this will not be a passive response. This will be an aggressive response.
How should Mitt Romney respond if that comes?
Mitt Romney should continue to be himself. And I think that's what we saw on Wednesday night. Informed, smart, good sense of humor, conversational, and tough. He was all those things on Wednesday night. But I don't think he should change a thing. Because you know what? I've known him now for a number of years. That's who he is. And if he's been listening to anybody else, he shouldn't. He should just go out there. Every opportunity he has between now and Election Day, and just let the American people see the real Mitt Romney. If they see the real Mitt Romney, as I have over the last number of years, then he's going to be elected the 45th president of the United States.
Well, your predictions are pretty good of late, so we're gonna take that back. You think this is going to tighten? Is this going to go down to the wire?
Oh, it's going to absolutely. I believe this is a race that will go right down to the wire, Scott. And that's why everybody listening to you has to know how important their vote is. Not only for themselves and how they vote, but get those neighbors, friends, business colleagues, clients out there and relatives out there vote. Everybody votes. I think Mitt Romney should be the president. If we take it for granted, we're going to lose.
A lot at stake. Governor Chris Christie, it was great having you in North Dakota. Thanks for checking in from the campaign trail. We appreciate it. From the campaign trail.